Hey, I'm Diana, creator of Money Boss Mama, and in this space, I teach women how to create a successful budget, save money, pay off debt, and shift their money mindsets. You can learn more about me on my website, moneybossmama.com. But in this video, I wanted to give you a few quick tips that you can use when you are dealing with a lack of support on your debt-free journey or just a financial journey in general. Because unfortunately, when you take the journey to bettering your finances, not everyone is going to be super supportive. So I am going to share a few quick tips that I use to get me through my journey, as well as answer a few questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. So let's go ahead and get into tip number one. Tip number one is to build up confidence before you share that you are on a debt-free journey. You know, like when you set out to do something that is out of the norm, like starting a new business, and you are in the planning stages, you are really excited, so you spill the beans a little too quickly, and then someone comes in with a Debbie Downer comment such as, you know, only 1 in 5 businesses make it. And because you are in those beginning phases and you don't really have a lot of confidence in yourself, it's going to be easy to be like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I should stay at my 9 to 5. Maybe my business might fail and this is not the safest route to go. And it's the same thing with a debt-free journey. You're going to think, okay, well, maybe this is something that I can't do. And I actually remember when I first started, I was telling a coworker about what I was doing and someone else overheard, and she basically told me that what I was doing was a waste of time, that I would never be able to live without debt, and I would always owe something to someone in life. And because I was still in those beginning phases, I took that as me just completely wasting my time. I listened to her. I let her knock me off course. And in turn, I wound up racking up like $500 to $600 on home decor and credit card debt because I took that "you'll never be able to live without debt" statement that she made, and I ran with it. Luckily, I was able to get myself back on course, but that's just an example of what happens whenever you speak about what you're doing too soon. When you have that unshakable faith and confidence in yourself and you know that this is the right decision for you, then when someone says something negative to you, you're just going to take it with a grain of salt. You're not going to internalize it. You hear what they're saying, but you kind of just let it roll off of you. And then when you get to that point, I recommend starting out with people that you trust first. So tell those that you absolutely trust, you value their input, their perspective. That way, whenever you get unsolicited advice, because you are going to get it, it's coming from someone that has your best interest at heart. The next tip I have is to observe and give people grace. So what many may not realize is that when they set out on a financial journey, it's not just their finances that are going to change. It's going to be them as well. So you are stripping yourself down of your old identity, but that is the identity that people around you use to define you. So it's kind of like they are mourning the loss of you. They're mourning the old version of you, and it's difficult to do, and it also takes time. So you want to give them time to adjust. And y'all, a debt-free journey is weird. It is out of the norm. It is what people consider to be the impossible. So not everyone is going to understand it. Not everyone is going to understand why you choose to drive a beat up car. Not everyone is going to understand why you choose to live in a small apartment. Not everyone is going to understand why you choose to restrict yourself on certain things. And you not only have to understand that you are going to be misunderstood, but also accept it as well, because you can't go around trying to change people's thoughts. Their perception is their perception. So you have to accept that you are not going to be understood by many. And honestly, not everyone wants to understand. Not everyone wants to understand. And that's okay too. I think that we all know those people in life who are just dead set on not allowing us to grow, to elevate. They want to hold on to that old identity of us. And that's when you have to practice discernment. You really have to observe the people that you are surrounding yourself with, because when you start a debt-free journey, it is important to create an environment that is supportive of your goals. You want to observe how people act, what they say, whether they are joking or whether they are serious, because when you practice discernment, that is going to give you the answers that you have been seeking about specific people. And you want to create an environment that is supportive of your goals. So you have to decide what stays and what goes and who goes. And if you find yourself always having to over explain everything that you are doing because people are just absolutely refusing to accept your journey, they don't have to understand it, but they refuse to accept your journey, then it is possible that that person is hindering you, and you have to make a decision. Like, is that person going to stay, or are you going to have to just separate yourself from that person? And a lot of people see the potential in you, and this journey will bring it out of them. So they see the potential in you. They don't want you to elevate, because that means that you're possibly going to pass them up, and that makes them uncomfortable. So just practice discernment, observe how people are acting towards you, and then you have to make that decision at the end of the day, who stays and who goes. But just remember, if certain people have to leave, you have to cut certain people off. That is just making more room for you to welcome in people who match the level that you are trying to get to. Tip number 3 is to learn the art of saying no. Saying no, it is uncomfortable, it is painful, I know, especially if you are someone who avoids confrontation like the plague. And unfortunately, it may not feel good for a while. And honestly, it may not ever feel good, but as time passes, it will get easier and easier to decline invites. And I am always worried about how I am coming across. And in the beginning, I struggled because I thought that I was coming off as rude, and I thought that I was coming off as I didn't want to be their friends anymore. So I did struggle to the point where I caved a lot of times. So I would use my credit card for outings just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. So take it from me, don't do that. Don't rack up credit card debt just so you don't have to say no to people. And when you decline invites, be sure that you are specific and you are setting the expectation that you are probably not going to be able to go out the way that you were before. Because if you're someone who avoids discomfort like me, a lot of times we can put our responses in a way that's really frilly, really fluffy, just to make it seem like there's a little bit of hope in the text, or however you're saying it, whether you're on the phone or whatnot. And when you do this, you are setting yourself up to have to experience the discomfort over and over and over again because you were not clear. So let's say that you text someone and they want you to go out, and instead of saying, hey, I'm not going to be able to go out anymore, you're like, I won't be able to go out this week, but I'm going to check my calendar, and then I'll check with you next week. So you got through this week, but guess what? That person's probably going to come to you next week and ask you if you can come out again. So the same scenario is going to play over and over and over again because you were not specific. But if you let that person know, like, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to do Sunday brunch every weekend anymore because I am working on bettering my finances, then you are setting the expectation that you're probably not going to be able to do Sunday brunch anymore. So when that next week rolls around, that person is probably already thinking that you're not going to be able to come out. And you don't have to be super specific. You don't have to tell them exactly what you are doing. You just want to let them know that, hey, I'm working on bettering my finances, so I'm not going to be able to do XYZ any longer. And if the thought of declining an invite makes you want to curl up into a ball and hide in the corner of your room, just remember that practice makes perfect. You will need to stand your ground because these people are not going to be picking up the tab for you every single time. And if they do, then enjoy your outing. Okay, so now I'm going to go over a few of the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram about dealing with people that are unsupportive of your journey. And the first one here is how to stay focused and still maintain those relationships. So I say to find some common ground. What is it that you can both do together that won't compromise the success of your journey? That may be incorporating more free outings and activities, or acting as accountability partners for one another when it comes to each other's goals. That is something that I do personally, and that has helped me out tremendously. That is acting as accountability partners with my loved ones, helping them to focus on their goals, and they help me to focus on mine as well. I find that when you act as an accountability partner with someone, you build this mutual understanding that you are both working towards something, and that person is more understanding of your decisions. And if your relationship is rooted in just going out and spending money, that doesn't really sound like it is a balanced relationship. So there just may not be any salvaging it. And that's okay, because, you know, in life, we grow out of relationships as we elevate to the next level. It doesn't have to be some dramatic, tacky ending. It can be a mutual separation. And then you welcome more people into your life that actually fit the goals that you are working toward. Question number 2 is, how do you eliminate the guilt of not being able to participate? So you have to shift your perception of declining the invite. So right now it seems like you are viewing declining the invite as something that is negative. You feel like you may be coming off as rude, that you don't want to hang out with this person, or that you are letting someone down. It's all a mindset shift. So you have to see saying no to them as saying yes to you, and learn to put yourself first. Put yourself and your wants and your dreams and aspirations first. And that is challenging for a lot of us because society sees that as being self-centered, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, you are this person. You are trying to reach new heights. So it's totally okay to put yourself first in certain situations, such as taking on a debt-free journey. And remember that declining invites are temporary. It's not something that is permanent. And in the beginning of my journey, I did have to decline a lot more because I did not have a lot of money to work with. But as time progressed, I was able to say yes a lot more than I was in the beginning because a lot of my debt balances were being knocked out. So whatever your end goal is, it may take you years to get there, but you don't have to decline for years. When you get to a place where you feel stable enough to accept, then you accept the invites. Don't see it as something that is negative. See it something that is positive, because it is. You are funding your goals and you are setting your future self up for success. Question number 3 is, parents that feel entitled to cash every holiday, ungrateful for gifts within my budget. How to explain, no, I can't right now. So in this situation, you have to set those boundaries. Remember that whether it be your parents, Molly the maid, Aunt Sally, your boyfriend, whoever, no one is your responsibility besides your underage kids. No one is entitled to your money. And unfortunately, those type of people sometimes have a hard time comprehending the fact that you give because you want to, not because you are obligated to. And I've had people who have felt entitled to my money. And I specifically remember a time where someone was upset because I bought a gift on a budget. But one thing that I have learned is that it is not your responsibility to change someone's thoughts. So if that is what you are trying to do, drop that unnecessary stress right now. Just explain yourself very thoroughly one time. Don't over-explain yourself over and over and over again. You can just be like, hey, I'm on a financial journey, so I'm not going to be able to give you the type of gifts that I was giving you before because now I'm on a budget and I have to give a lot more of my money to my goals. You say that once, it is up to them to understand that. And if they don't understand that, not your problem. You've done your part. Okay, so those were my tips for how to deal with unsupportive loved ones on your journey. Hopefully this was super helpful to you guys. If you have dealt with unsupportive loved ones on your journey, be sure to leave a comment below just sharing how you dealt with that for the next person that may be reading them. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and I will catch you all in the next one.